I am back with another podcast episode for you guys. So you guys are obviously we're interested in the quarterbacks. So I love that I did the top 25 quarterbacks. There's another list that we're reviewing today. That's going to be the top 10 pass catchers heading into the 2023 season. Let me know what you guys' thoughts down below on if there's somebody that's been left out of the top 10 that should be in the top 10. If you guys would like to see what type of other college football things you would like to see. Also, this is going to be later on down the road, I will be putting out NCAA content regarding these players as well. So I want to mix up this podcast a little bit when it comes to the college football side. The boxing side is going to be, I know I didn't put it out on episode last week. I was busy on that end, but this Friday for sure you're going to see an episode. Obviously coming up a huge fight, Virgil Ortiz versus Emmanuel Stilliones. That is going to be an awesome fight in San Antonio, Texas this Saturday. So don't miss that. Also, this last week was Jared Big Baby Anderson versus Charles Martin. A phenomenal fight. And again, on Friday, I will recap that fight while also going ahead and talking about the upcoming fight. And then on Sunday, you will see another video coming out about the results and who I think won, why they won, or if there was a knockout, everything that happened. So make sure to stay tuned to this channel. Boxing content is coming. I did not abandon it. I am going to definitely stick with boxing. I love boxing, and I love college football. So you never have to worry about me getting ever stale about talking about those two sports, even though I do love NFL, obviously, NBA, and I do love baseball as well. But those are just so overdone, so overdid, that I think college football and boxing are still underappreciated and definitely something that's going to be on the rise in the coming years to go. But let's get into this top 10 list. So number one is Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think there's anybody that should have disagree with that. He was the number one wide receiver last year in the nation as a sophomore. So imagine him obviously being a junior this year. Same thing happened to Jackson Smith and Jigba on his sophomore year. He was better than Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson on the Ohio State team when he was a sophomore, and then in the junior year it was Marvin Harrison. So it really seems like sophomore year, it seems to be the year if you're that dude where you break out. But obviously for Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, they've been doing this for a longer period of time. Chris Olave a little more than Garrett Wilson, as he was a year older. He was a senior compared to Garrett Wilson's junior. Awesome to see that we have some Ohio State representation obviously there. Marvin Harrison, I believe he is a dark horse to win the Heisman. He is also the person that's going to be the number one overall draft pick if a quarterback. He will be the top 5 draft pick. I'm sorry, because of Caleb Williams and Drake May, but he will be a top 5 draft pick in this upcoming draft, and he'll be the best player overall in the draft, but not the number one pick. That will go to obviously a quarterback. But let's go ahead and move on. Emeka Egbuka, the number 2 wide receiver for Ohio State. I love Emeka Egbuka. He is a physical wide receiver. He is amazing at the 50-50 balls. He's great at understanding what Brian Hartline loves to do and teach. Now that Brian Hartline is going to be the offensive coordinator, it's going to be very interesting to see how well he schemes up these wide receivers, as obviously he's been their coach for a while. But it is different when you're having to now take over the entire offense compared to just working with a position. With a position, you can just go off of the scripted plays that you already know. When you're the offense coordinator, you actually have to craft it around there. Also a running back, also a quarterback. It's not the same type of deal with a position coach. So really going to be interesting to see what comes about there. But I'm going to say this here. Emeka Egbuka is going to have a tremendous year. I don't know if he's number 2 though, and you're gonna see some guys come on the back end who I think could outdo him on this front, and one of them is right here at Rome Odunze, an absolute phenomenal player. He's a great leader. He is going to be super important to Michael Penix's growth. Obviously, we saw him in the top 5 of the quarterbacks just a week ago. So obviously, his top target, Rome Odunze, a senior, going to absolutely be putting on for Washington University, and I believe he will be in the top 20 picks in the NFL draft for sure. I think he's just an absolute stud. As long as he doesn't get injured, I think he'll be absolutely awesome. I love the fact that he came back to school when he could have left last year. He came back to play with Penix another year. They also have another star wideout we'll talk about later, but Jalen McMillan is going to be another good wide receiver, but I can see him definitely hitting 1,300. And if he does, I think he may surpass Emeka Egbuka as the number 2 wideout. Another guy that I'm interested in, but I don't think should be this high, Dorian Surgent. He was the number 1 receiving wide receiver out of the Pac-12 last year with Arizona. Transfers to USC for obvious reasons, Caleb Williams. So he wants to be taught by the great Lincoln Riley and his success in getting wide receivers into the NFL. Even though I think the only one that's really been great has been CeeDee Lamb out of the group that he's put in. But obviously, Jordan Addison just got put in as well. So starting to become a track record. We'll see how that translates. I think Dorian Surgent is a good wide receiver, but I don't think he might be even the best one at the end of the year, even in USC. I think Zakaya Branch as a freshman might absolutely light up the world. We will see there, along with Mario Williams. So I think it's going to be hard for Dorian Surgent to put up the numbers to say that he's a top 5 wide receiver. I think the next guy is more worthy, and that is Xavier Worthy. I absolutely can tell you one thing. Xavier Worthy's freshman year was so dang good. I was like, oh, he's about to be what Marvin Harrison is now. Obviously, I didn't see the forecast of Marvin Harrison because he was like the 4th or 5th guy on the depth chart his freshman year. But Xavier Worthy was pretty much ended up being the number 1 guy his freshman year. He was absolutely phenomenal, 4-star recruit. Nobody thought that he was going to be this good starting out freshman year at Texas University under Casey Thompson and all that. And Hudson Card, who both played that year. And then last year with Quinn Ewers, didn't really get on the same page as Quinn Ewers. But hopefully this year, I believe Quinn Ewers needs to step it up and definitely find Xavier Worthy because he's definitely worth it. Obviously, this is another loaded receiver room. This and Ohio State have the 2 best receiver rooms in the nation, with obviously having Jordan Whittington, Isaiah Nair, A.D. Mitchell, and freshman Jonte Cook II. So obviously, great room to be in. His numbers were down from last year. I think that was mostly because Quinn Ewers didn't know how to get him the ball. And I think for sure this year he will be worth it. I know he had that broken hand in the second half of the year, so that really kind of hurt them by not being able to be full strength. He will be cooking, and he could still all the way to number 2. To me, Marvin Harrison is the only person that can't fall off. Everybody else, every 2 through like 10 is pretty much very fluid, and anybody can move up or down in that category. And I think Xavier Worthy is somebody that can move all the way up to number 2. He's absolute stud, and under Steve Sarkisian can definitely shine. And you're going to see another person, I believe, who should be on this top 10 list that's also from the University of Texas. Johnny Wilson, huge dude, 6'7". I thought he was a tight end. Guys, when I saw him last year at Tallahassee, I was like, oh, this is their tight end. Because why would he be a wide receiver and he's 6'7"? I've never seen a 6'7" wide receiver. I've seen one maybe as a tight end, but I've never seen one as a wide receiver that ever made sense. He is that. He's 6'7", 235 pounds. He would be playing small forward in the NBA right now if he chose basketball. That's how big he is. Now, he has a quarterback in Jordan Travis that played really well last year. Not very good against big-time competition, but played really well against lower-tier competition. The only big-time competition that he played well against was LSU, but that was week 1. That was week 1 in a neutral site game. So we will see how he does this year in a neutral site game against LSU rematch. So against another guy that you guys can see here on the list that I believe could end up rivaling him or could end up surpassing him. But the good thing about Johnny Wilson is he's a big target. He's phenomenal at getting down the field. Great one-on-one skills. his stretchability is good, but he's not like a burner. And that's okay, because for 6'7", I don't need you to be a burner. I need you to go down the field and catch the ball and be a good route runner, because I think his route running is something that he's focusing on more, and he needs to do a little bit of finishing that really helps polish his game up. And I think that will help him in more in the receiving touchdowns, because 5 last year was absolutely way too little for a 6'7" wide receiver, which is what gave me a little cause to pause with him being number 6 over this stud, and that is Malik Neighbors. I think Malik Neighbors is the best wide receiver in the SEC. He is phenomenal. He is going to follow in the footsteps of other great wide receivers that came from LSU: Jarvis Landry, Odell, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Terrence Marshall. The list goes on and on for LSU. They have had amazing runs of wide receivers. This is no different in Malik Neighbors. He's phenomenal talent. His only problem was, for me, is that Jaden didn't give him the ball enough. I think he could have easily gone into the 80s with how much he was open last season and how great he is of a target. He needs more touchdown receptions for sure. Needs more red zone opportunities. I think he gets it. This is the second year for Jaden Daniels under the new system. Same thing with Malik Neighbors. I believe he will honestly be a go-getter, and he will lead them to greatness. I don't know how far they'll go. I think maybe SEC championship game, but at the end of the day, that's far enough, really, for him to solidify his spot as a top 5 wide receiver. And to me, he will be a top 5 wide receiver. I love Malik Neighbors' game and his ability to just get after it and be a really nasty wide receiver that has all the tools to put together an awesome season this season. Watch out for Malik Neighbors. You remember how I said about Odunze? Now I told you about his sidekick from last year that could end up being higher than him, Jalen McMillan Jr. this year. They're both going to leave after this season along with Michael Penix. So it'll be interesting to see how Dubow's what's his name? The head coach for Washington does. I don't know how he's going to get past losing all that type of production to anywhere near more than 8 wins, but we will see on that front, depending on who he brings in, obviously, right? That's going to matter the most on who's the next quarterback. But absolute stud in McMillan. He is someone that's very interesting. He plays hard. He's a really, really nice compliment to Odunze. But I'm just interested to see. I think Michael Penix might end up giving him, Jalen McMillan, more balls than Odunze, because I think people know more of Odunze, so they're going to be wanting to double cover him either with 2 corners or a corner and a backside safety, where McMillan is going to get the free coverage. So really look out for McMillan's production this season to take either a big step up or stay the same, which would still be enough for him to be the top 10 for sure. I think he's going to be an absolute stud, and he's going to be a very good prospect to go in. I think this is going to be a very deep wide receiver class this year, where last year's it really wasn't. Zakaya Franklin, who's going to be a 5th-year senior. He's transferred to Ole Miss recently, so he's going to be playing for the Running Rebels. Because I don't know who the quarterback is for the Rebels, I have a hard time knowing if he really is going to be a top 10 wide receiver production-wise. I really would have stayed with Frankie Smith. I don't understand why he left the Roadrunners. I mean, I do understand, but I don't. At the same time, I get the money probably ended up being ridiculous for him to leave, so why wouldn't you not leave? But at the same time, I think long-term wise, he was better off staying at UTSA, because with Franklin, I think that was just a great quarterback running wide receiver duo. I think the only thing that could really hinder him, honestly, is the quarterback situation at Ole Miss, depending on who they throw out there, how many quarterbacks they run through. He really needs to understand that there is a good quarterback on whoever out of the 3 does it, with Walker Howard, Spencer Sanders, and Jackson Dart, and then another kid that just came in after was supposed to be a junior this year, but ended up skipping 2 grades to go there. He doesn't factor to be in this race at all, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. but I think Zakaya Franklin definitely can be a top 10 wide receiver this season. I just don't know who's going to be throwing the football enough to proudly say that. And then Malachi Corley, good wide receiver out of Western Kentucky. Don't think he's a top 10 because I think there's another guy that they left off the list. And I told you that there was somebody that I was thinking is better. I don't even see him listed on the also receiving votes. That is atrocious. They need to throw that list out if that's what they think. A.D. Mitchell is going to be nice. And when I mean nice, I mean really nice. For Georgia, he didn't have that much production. He was kind of hurt the first 2 years, really. But he, in the both national title games, he's caught a touchdown, a big touchdown in the game. He's absolutely a stud. Big body wide receiver. Loves to get the go ball. Absolutely good. He's a really good route runner. Could polish up at the finishing side, which is a little bit why I don't think he got the ball as much. Also, separation is going to be a little bit of an issue if he can't get it. But I think he is such a talented wide receiver. I think he's going to end up being the number 10 guy. But I do believe there's another guy here that's really nice. Actually, there's two. I want to say that. Antoine Wells Jr. from South Carolina. If Spencer Sanders can just chuck it up and say, look, you're down there, you need to make this catch. Guess what? Antoine Wells is going to be the receiver that he's doing it to. Absolute stud wide receiver, great burner. Anaya Smith, another Texas A&M wide receiver that's absolutely amazing. And I'm gonna just show you guys his stats because they're pretty nice themselves. I believe he's totally ready for the big time on that, and he didn't have a great season last season. Really was because of injury. Was the reason why. But if you look at his previous years of 509 and 564, he was really primed for a breakout this season. But injuries really hurt him, honestly, at times this season. And then you can see his receiving yards there. But you can see, because he didn't play after September, he got hurt. He wasn't able to play. He only was able to play in 4 games. And not really 4 games, really 3 games, because the Arkansas game, where he had 1 catch for 32 yards, he didn't finish the game. But you can see he was prime. 6 receptions for 164, 4 for 21 against Appalachian State. I get it, bad game. But you can see against Miami, 4 for 74. And you can see in only 1 catch in that game, that Arkansas game, that he didn't even play the whole season. He didn't even play the whole rest of the thing. He got 32 yards out of it. And he's going to be returning off of a season-ending injury. Depending on how he comes off, I think he's going to be absolutely insanely great for them. I know he's had some issues over a DWI and a weapon charge. Trust me, I do know that. But I think he's totally worth it. I think he's totally going to be somebody to watch out for. They also had another person that I really liked. Mario Williams, I know, was on there. But a guy that we should really pay attention to is Dominic Lovick, coming out of Missouri to transfer to Georgia. But also Ladd McConkey, obviously great, good Georgia receiver. Just don't know how much they're going to be throwing the football over there. But Troy Franklin, Bo Nix, Oregon, awesome guys. This is coming in to actually his junior. He's going to be coming up in his junior. He's going to be draft eligible after the season. But he had a great season under Bo Nix, and I think he will be somebody to definitely look out for. I definitely see him for sure being a great target for them, especially in the future. But make sure to like, subscribe, and notification bell, guys. I will see you guys in the next one. Like I said, this Friday coming. This Friday is going to be my next video. I know I said I was going to do 2 college football videos. I'm really going to stick to 1 right now, and 2 boxing videos. I'm sorry, but once we get closer to the season, I will go back. I will go to 2 for college football and the 2 for boxing. But make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let me know what you guys want to see in your next list. If you guys want to see running backs, tight ends, or if you guys want me to do a different segment altogether. I'm really open to any suggestions or comments. Like I said, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. See you guys in the next one.